There's 31 war statutes that I put under, you shall have no other gods before me. We are to go to war, but by the will of God only. Okay? America doesn't always do that anymore, but we used to. God will go to battle before you. So the Lord thy God is with you, for the Lord your God is he that goes with you to fight for you against your enemies. We probably all knew that. You shall always proclaim peace before battle. So that's the intent behind all this, is that we proclaim peace and that there's peace instead of a war. Enemies that surrender peaceably shall be put under tribute and spared. That's where Israel was before the Exodus. They were under tribute. That's where America was before we came to America. We were under tribute. Foreign nations who do not make peace are to be totally destroyed. God shows no mercy. If it's their time for judgment, God uses nations to judge other nations, and it's over. So if they don't make peace, if they don't repent, is another way to put it, then we're to completely destroy them. You shall besiege a city that does not want peace. So this is kind of a war strategy. To besiege someone is to cramp, that is to confine. We would use the word siege today. It's a military blockade of a city or fortified place to compel it to surrender. So you'd surround it and make sure that it can't get out. Maybe control their food supplies and water supplies. You shall build defensive walls against the cities you besiege. The King James called them bulwarks. We're supposed to build wooden walls around them. That really doesn't apply today, but whatever we can do to contain them with modern technology, you wouldn't really build a wooden wall. That's not going to stop any nation today. You shall not destroy fruit trees during a siege. So when you're building this wall, you're not supposed to destroy the fruit trees. I would guess it's probably because that's food for your army. Why would you destroy them? You should use the trees that don't produce food. We must build the wall with non-fruit bearing trees, and I'm guessing that's probably the reason. Only males 20 years or older can serve in the military. We got that close. We're 2 years off. We allow 18 years. Only able-bodied males can go to war. We actually do that one. If you're injured, if you have a disability, you're not going to war. You're not a part of the army. The Levites and judiciary are not eligible for military service. We do that too. Our judges and our rulers, they don't go to war. There's a good reason for that. They have to make tough decisions. They need to be able to do this. And the next three are some of my favorites. Men who have been married less than 1 year are exempt from war. Men who have built a new house not dedicated are exempt from war. And men who have planted crops but have not yet reaped are exempt from war. This is building a family. God has great respect for family, marriage, building a home, and making a living. If a man's in the process of building a family and establishing his home and getting up on his feet, God has respect for that. I think that's really cool. Why make him drop everything and go to war for 3, 4, or 5 years, whatever it is, and all his work is gone? This makes perfect sense, especially being a family guy. This makes perfect sense. It's almost like God knew what he was doing. Those that are fearful of battle or are faint-hearted are exempt from war. Look at the reason. Lest his brethren's heart faint as well as his heart. Fear is contagious. Those who are fearful will hinder the army. So if someone's afraid, he didn't do that for that person, but that's going to destroy the morale of your military.
I got a question.
Yes.
Do we do that today as far as if you're fearful?
No, yeah, that's an interesting question. Our military draft, it's not mandatory. It's mandatory to report.
Yeah.
But there are several people, if you have to show up. There are several people that when they administered the oath said, hold on a second. And then they said, I would not like to do this, or am I waiving any of my rights? And then what do? They take them off, talk to them for a couple hours, and let them go. What makes you a soldier is the oath and the signature. Okay. That's what makes you a soldier. The reporting, you have to show up. There's no doubt about it. But if you don't take the oath, you're free to go. And there are several people that have done that and have shared that story. So it's never been mandatory. So I would say that kind of falls under that. Mark, did you have a question?
And also, it's not just fear, but volunteer is the best thing we've ever done, because you have guys in there, as in charge of a whole unit, with guys that just didn't want to be in the military. then it's better to just get them to the side, get them out of the
Yeah.
military, and let everybody else who wants to be there work and do their job and stuff.
It's only going to ruin the morale of the military. That's all it's going to do. So there's really no good that can come out of it if you force someone to go to military. I agree. You shall establish a military chain of command. We do that today. We have officers over thousands and hundreds. You shall appoint a priest to speak with the soldiers during war. We kind of do that, don't we? Don't we have chaplains in our military? When you go to war, you shall blow the trumpet as an alarm. We still have trumpeting in our military to this day. It traces all the way back to the scriptures. In fact, we're a little more advanced with a civil defense siren. We have sirens that will let people know. Because remember, this is when you go to war in your land. So this is sound the alarm. Let everybody know, look out, someone's coming. You may use spies against the enemy in war. We're constantly spying today. It's at a whole new level with technology. You shall not be afraid of strong enemies during war. That's just undermining God's authority when we do that. You shall not panic or retreat during battle. Same thing. It's undermining God's authority. If He's really going before you, what's to be afraid of? You shall abstain from every evil thing when at war. If you think about that one, if you're going to war and God's fighting for you and you're in the middle of sin, where's God going to go? He's leaving. Cleanliness in the camp is to be maintained. I find it pretty interesting that God expects you to keep the clean and unclean laws even in the camp. You might as well have healthy soldiers. All males of defeated nations are to be killed. Those that fight in war against you, you kill them. You don't let them. They had their chance for peace. Now it's all or nothing. War may be brought on by God as punishment for national sins. So if you're getting war, that might mean it doesn't necessarily mean God's fighting for you. All right, war could be a punishment. Prisoners and goods are to be taken as spoil from defeated nations. And the spoils of war are to be divided between soldiers and government. I don't think we're doing that. Do the soldiers get any of the spoils of war? I didn't think we did that.
Well, sometimes they do, but not.
Not intentional.
Yeah,
Not legally.
not legally. Yeah.
You shall not take pagan artifacts as spoil. So you shall not take the accursed thing. Because God says the devoted thing is most holy unto the Lord. That word for devoted and the word for accursed is the exact same word.
Which means what?
I'm going to guess at that right now. Cherem is usually a doomed object or a dedicated thing. The way I look at this, if you're going to war and you take something that was dedicated to another god, or it's probably a contract with them of some sort, who knows, you're not allowed to have it. You don't want any of those pagan artifacts. That's the way I see a pagan artifact. And it's with another ruler, not some mystical god up in the sky that we've made up. It's with another ruler. You may marry a captive woman. So when you go to war, you can have her to wife, and thou shalt bring her home to your house. If you marry a captive woman, you must shave her head, pare her nails, and remove her captivity clothing. Now that's kind of odd. I'm guessing this is probably to remove any resemblance to her former nation. She is now an Israelite and needs to look and act like one. If you're marrying someone that you've just conquered, they're not allowed in Israel unless they're following God's commandments. We already saw what his immigration policy was. Okay, that person's now becoming an Israelite.
Yeah,
so who knows what their hair was like? Who knows how? But God, it's like God saying, "Give a fresh start." Now maybe I'm wrong, but that's my guess on it.
well,
In the military, the first thing you do is cut off people's hair because you don't want their individuality and stuff. They become all the same. You try to look at 50 people, bald heads,
yeah.
it's really hard to tell. people.
It fits in a little bit with the way I was describing it. It's
To remove their identity.
remove the identity and they're taking on a new identity.
Yeah.
So that's probably the best guess. The captive woman must be set free if you divorce her. So, and it shall be, if thou have no delight in her, then thou shalt let her go whither she will, but thou shalt not sell her at all for money. So for some reason, if they're not happy with the marriage, she's free.